If you are over 60 and you have noticed that walking has started to feel different, heavier, slower, more painful than it used to be, I need you to understand something before we go any further. What you are experiencing is not simply the unavoidable consequence of growing older. In many cases, and I say this based on decades of clinical research and patient observation, it is the consequence of three specific nutritional deficiencies that are quietly dismantling the structural, neurological, and circulatory foundations that painless walking depends on. Most people never connect these dots. Most doctors never have time to explain it fully. Today, I am going to do exactly that, and by the end of this video, you will understand your own body at a level that may change everything about how you approach the years ahead. Walking is one of the most mechanically complex things the human body does. It requires your bones to bear load without fracturing, your joints to move through their full range without grinding, your muscles to fire with enough strength and coordination to propel you forward, your nerves to carry precise signals from your brain to your feet in real time, and your blood vessels to deliver a continuous supply of oxygen-rich blood to every muscle involved in each stride. When all five of those systems are functioning properly, walking feels effortless, the kind of effortless you probably remember from your 40s and wonder quietly where it went. When even one of those systems begins to break down, walking becomes work. When two or three begin to fail simultaneously, it becomes pain. And the research is unambiguous about what is accelerating that breakdown in seniors across America right now. Vitamin D is the first, and I want to begin here because its role in walking ability goes far deeper than most people, and frankly, far deeper than many physicians fully appreciate. Most people know vitamin D as a bone vitamin, and yes, it plays an essential role in calcium absorption and bone density. But here is what the newer research reveals, and this is the part that changes everything. Vitamin D is not just building the scaffold your skeleton stands on. It is actively powering the muscles that move that skeleton. Every skeletal muscle fiber in your body contains vitamin D receptors embedded in its membrane, receptors that, when properly activated, regulate muscle protein synthesis, contractile function, and the speed at which muscle fibers respond to neural signals. When those receptors are deprived of vitamin D, your muscles do not simply get a little weaker. They become physiologically impaired in a way that no amount of exercise alone can fully compensate for. Research from Harvard Medical School, the Mayo Clinic, and multiple European longitudinal studies has found that low vitamin D levels are among the strongest independent predictors of muscle weakness, gait instability, and fall risk in adults over 65. A critical analysis published in Osteoporosis International, reviewing data from over 15,000 older adults, found that individuals with deficient vitamin D levels had dramatically higher rates of impaired physical performance, measured by walking speed, chair stand tests, and balance assessments compared to those with optimal levels. And here is a number that should concern every person watching this. Estimates from the Centers for Disease Control and large national survey data suggest that more than 40% of American adults are vitamin D deficient, with rates climbing significantly higher in adults over 70, particularly those who spend limited time outdoors or live in northern latitudes. Your muscles may be fighting a losing battle, not because they are worn out, but because they have been operating without the activator they require. But I need you to stay with me because the second vitamin affects something even more fundamental than your muscles. It affects the very wiring that tells them when and how to move. Consider for a moment what actually initiates a single step. Before your foot leaves the ground, your brain generates a motor signal that travels down your spinal cord, enters the peripheral nervous system, branches through a network of nerve fibers, and arrives at the specific muscle groups in your hip, thigh, and calf that execute the movement, all in a fraction of a second. That signal travels along nerve fibers wrapped in a protective coating called myelin, and myelin is not optional infrastructure. It is the difference between a crisp, instantaneous nerve signal and a degraded, slowed, distorted one. When myelin is healthy, your movements are fluid, coordinated, and pain-free. When myelin begins to break down, you feel it in ways that are deeply unsettling. Tingling in your feet, burning sensations along your calves, unpredictable weakness when you stand, and a growing hesitation in your stride that your brain registers as instability even before your conscious mind names it as pain. The nutrient responsible for maintaining myelin integrity is vitamin B12. And the reason B12 deficiency is so devastatingly common in seniors is not dietary carelessness, it is pure biology. After the age of 50, the stomach gradually produces less of a specialized protein called intrinsic factor, which is the only mechanism through which the human gut can efficiently absorb B12 from food. This decline is progressive, largely invisible in blood tests until the deficiency becomes advanced and affects tens of millions of Americans who are eating what they believe to be a perfectly adequate diet. Research from the National Institutes of Health and the Framingham Heart Study has demonstrated that between 20 and 30% of adults over 60 have B12 levels low enough to cause neurological effects, yet the majority remain undiagnosed because early symptoms are so easily attributed to aging, fatigue, or stress. What concerns me most in clinical practice is how long B12 nerve damage can progress before anyone recognizes it for what it is. A patient comes in complaining that their legs feel unreliable, their balance has gotten worse. They have started holding the railing on the stairs not out of habit, but out of genuine necessity. They assume it is arthritis, or age, or simply their body slowing down. In many of these cases, what I find is a B12 level that has been quietly insufficient for years. And here is what makes this genuinely urgent. Unlike many nutritional deficiencies, the neurological damage from prolonged B12 deficiency can become permanent if it is not addressed. The myelin sheath does not regenerate indefinitely. There is a window during which restoration is possible, and that window is not unlimited. But there is also something else happening alongside this nerve deterioration that connects directly to why your legs ache, cramp, and fatigue so easily on even short walks, and it has everything to do with the third vitamin, which almost no one in mainstream medicine is talking about in the context of walking pain. Vitamin K2, not K1, which is widely found in leafy green vegetables and primarily associated with blood clotting. K2 is a molecularly distinct form, specifically the MK7 subtype found in fermented foods, and its primary function in your body is something researchers call calcium trafficking. Here is why this matters profoundly for your legs. As you age, calcium regulation becomes increasingly imprecise. Calcium that should be reinforcing your bones can begin migrating into soft tissues, including the walls of the blood vessels that supply your leg muscles. This process, called vascular calcification, is not dramatic or sudden. It accumulates over years, gradually stiffening arterial walls, narrowing the channels through which blood must flow, and reducing the oxygen delivery to the very muscles that power every step you take. K2 activates two critical proteins, osteocalcin and matrix GLA protein, that together function as your body's calcium traffic directors, routing calcium away from arterial walls and anchoring it into bone matrix where it belongs. The Rotterdam study, a landmark Dutch population study following thousands of participants over more than a decade, found that individuals with the highest K2 intake had significantly lower rates of arterial calcification and cardiovascular mortality compared to those with the lowest intake. Separate research published in Atherosclerosis demonstrated measurable reductions in arterial stiffness with consistent K2 supplementation. When the arteries feeding your leg muscles are flexible and open, blood flows freely. Your muscles are oxygenated, your stride is powered. When those arteries become rigid and partially calcified, the muscles they supply begin to operate under a state of chronic, low-level oxygen deprivation. And the result is exactly what so many seniors describe as leg heaviness, cramps during walking, aching that begins after only a short distance, and exhaustion in the legs that seems disproportionate to the effort involved. Now, I want to bring these three vitamins together because in practice, they do not operate in isolation. They form an interconnected system, and understanding how they work together is what separates meaningful supplementation from guesswork. Vitamin D powers your muscle fibers at the cellular level. Vitamin B12 maintains the nerve pathways that command those muscles with precision and speed. Vitamin K2 keeps the vascular highways open so that blood, oxygen, and nutrients can reach those muscles reliably with every step. Remove any one leg of that tripod, and the entire structure of comfortable, pain-free walking begins to wobble. Restore all three to adequate levels, and many seniors, not all, but many, experience improvements in leg strength, reduction in walking-related pain, and a return of confidence in their own physical stability that they had quietly begun to believe was lost permanently. I want to be precise about something, because I believe you deserve complete honesty. These three vitamins are not a substitute for medical evaluation, and walking pain has multiple possible causes: arthritis, spinal stenosis, peripheral artery disease, and others that require proper diagnosis. What I am telling you today is that nutritional deficiency is one of the most treatable, most overlooked, and most impactful contributing factors to impaired walking in seniors. And it deserves to be ruled in or out with the same seriousness as structural or mechanical causes. Ask your doctor to check your vitamin D, your B12, and if possible, your K2 status. Bring this information with you. Advocate for a complete nutritional workup, because the 15-minute appointment often leaves no room for the kind of conversation your body actually needs. Before you go, I want to hear from you directly. Do you experience pain, cramping, or heaviness in your legs when you walk? Have you ever had your vitamin D or B12 levels tested? And what did your doctor say? Leave your answer in the comments below, not just for me, but for the thousands of people watching this who are living with the same questions and may not yet know they are not alone. If someone you love has been struggling to walk without pain and has been told it is simply a part of getting older, share this video with them today. Because sometimes the difference between resignation and recovery is nothing more than the right information at the right time.